Welcome back. We've been thinking about these pillars of ethics for the First Testament, what it means to live in a covenant relationship, and we've given thought to Wright's first pillar, God, the second one, this society that he is creating, and the third pillar of First Testament ethics is economics. And for Israel, this was based on the land. I hope you notice that the land is of more than passing interest in the Torah. It's true, the land was negatively impacted by that coup d'etat that Adam and Eve tried to pull off, that rebellion in Eden. And then remember in chapter 6 and following how the flood wrought judgment not only on evil humanity, but also on the tainted land. But the aftermath dramatizes God's redeeming grace, both to the human race and to the cursed earth. And the ensuing covenant, with its sign in the rainbow, expresses God's commitment to life on earth and a future judgment and a renewal of creation. And that's picked up in the other testament as well, 2 Peter chapter 3. Well, we've rehearsed the land aspect of the promise made to Abraham that it was an everlasting possession. Genesis 17:48, Exodus 6. And at the same time, God refers to it as my land. Exodus 19, Leviticus 25. We reviewed Exodus and saw that a key theme was God's remembering his covenant with Abraham and making good on that promise by bringing them out of the land of bondage, to bring them into a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Saw that in Exodus. Then Numbers records a downer with respect to the land. Unbelief and fear caused a whole generation to forfeit. But it didn't invalidate the promise covenant. A significant subplot through the former prophets relates to the challenges of receiving the land, Joshua, and flourishing in the land, Judges Ruth, Samuel Kings, and again, an ethic of gratitude and generosity is taught. For example, in Deuteronomy 26, at harvest time in this land gift, the believer is taught to express gratitude by 1, bringing an offering to the Lord, and then 2, making a confession. Let me read it to you in Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 5. Is in the context of this offering at harvest time, they recite, "My father was a wandering Aramean, and he went down to Egypt and sojourned there, few in number. But there he became a great and mighty and populous nation. The Egyptians treated us harshly and afflicted us and imposed hard labor on us. And then we cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our voice and saw our affliction and our toil and our oppression. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, with great terror and great wonders. And he brought us to this place and has given us this land, flowing with milk and honey. And now behold, I have brought the first of the produce of the ground, which you, O Lord, have given me. And you shall set it down before the Lord your God, and worship before the Lord your God." Well, what's the believer confessing here? It's that this redeeming God is in control of history. He's faithful to his promise covenant. This kind of a God deserves our trust and obedience. And then note how often this land gift is referred to as an inheritance in Torah and on into the former prophets. And so another ethical consideration was Property rights. Did you notice that the text doesn't just refer to this territory being given to a nation? You see, it's not intended to become crown land or sort of a national preserve. The narrative says that it was to be divided fairly among the tribes and then among the families. Numbers 26, Numbers 34. I suspect you may have been less than thrilled reading Joshua when you get to chapters 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I mean, 7 chapters devoted to the allotment of the land to families. But what's going on there? It's emphasizing the personal stake in the promised inheritance. So, notice in Israel, property rights were grounded in God's gracious gift, not in real estate speculation, not in force of might, but as a gift. I think this ethic is dramatized further in 1 Kings 21. Remember the account, well, we haven't gotten there yet, I know, but the account of Ahab and Naboth's vineyard. We'll talk about that when we get there. I think a corollary would be an ethic of stewardship. You see, if in the final analysis, the land is Yahweh's, and if I'm living in a vital, intimate covenant relationship with Him, I owe the landlord due diligence in caring for and productively managing this resource. Living in a covenant relationship, that's what we've been thinking about. One Jewish scholar I know of calls it a relationship with consequences. And I think he's onto it. Covenant faithfulness, God took the first step. He initiated the relationship marked by chesed, this covenant loyalty. And He invites the believer in return to live in covenant loyalty, but God didn't create a bunch of zombies. People have choices. Just as chesed, covenant loyalty, is an option, so unbelief, mefer, covenant violation, is an option. And we've seen this in Exodus with the golden calf, and in Numbers with the griping and rebellion, and in Judges with the apostasy. Remember, as Joshua wrapped up his ministry, he charged his congregation, "Now therefore, fear the Lord. Serve Him in sincerity and in faithfulness. Put away the gods that your fathers served beyond the river in Egypt, and serve the Lord." Look, if it's evil in your eyes to serve the Lord, then choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your fathers served in the region beyond the rivers or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Think about it. We'll see you in a bit.